صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ياسين والقرآن الحكيم إنك لمن المرسلين على صراط مستقيم. تنزيل العزيز الرحيم لتنذر قوما ما أنذر آباءهم فهم غافلون. لقد حق القول على أكثرهم فهم لا يؤمنون. إنا جعلنا في أعناقهم أغلالا فهي إلى الأذقان فهم مقمحون. وجعلنا من بين أيديهم سدا ومن خلفهم سدا فأغشيناهم فهم لا يبصرون. وسواء عليهم أأنذرتهم أم لم تنذرهم لا يؤمنون. إنما تنذر من اتبع الذكر وخشي الرحمن بالغيب فبشره بمغفرة وأجر كريم. إنا نحن نحيي الموتى ونكتب ما قدموا وآثارهم وكل شيء أحصيناه في إمام مبين. واضرب لهم مثلا أصحاب القرية إذ جاءها المرسلون إذ أرسلنا إليهم اثنين فكذبوهما فعززنا بثالث فقالوا إنا إليكم مرسلون. قالوا ما أنتم إلا بشر مثلنا وما أنزل الرحمن من شيء إن أنتم إلا تكذبون. قالوا ربنا يعلم إنا إليكم لمرسلون وما علينا إلا البلاغ المبين. قالوا إنا تطيرنا بكم لئن لم تنتهوا لنرجمنكم وليمسنكم منا عذاب أليم. قالوا طائركم معكم أئن ذكرتم بل أنتم قوم مسرفون. وجاء من أقصى المدينة رجل يسعى قال يا قوم اتبعوا المرسلين اتبعوا من لا يسألكم أجرا وهم مهتدون. وما لي لا أعبد الذي فطرني وإليه ترجعون. أأتخذ من دونه آلهة إن يردني الرحمن بضر لا تغني عني شفاعتهم شيئا ولا ينقذون. إني ذل في ضلال مبين. إني آمنت بربكم فاسمعون. قيل ادخل الجنة قال يا ليت قومي يعلمون. بما غفر لي ربي وجعلني من المكرمين. وما أنزلنا على قومه من بعده من جند من السماء وما كنا منزلين. إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم خامدون. يا حسرة على العباد ما يأتيهم من رسول إلا كانوا به يستهزئون. ألم يروا كم أهلكنا قبلهم من القرون أنهم إليهم لا يرجعون. وإن كل لما جميع لدينا محضرون. وآية لهم الأرض الميتة أحييناها وأخرجنا منها حبا فمنه يأكلون. وجعلنا فيها جنات من نخيل وعناب وفجرنا فيها من العيون. ليأكلوا من ثمره وما عملته أيديهم أفلا يشكرون سبحان الذي خلق الأزواج كلها مما تنبت الأرض ومن أنفسهم ومما لا يعلمون وآية لهم الليل نسلخ منه النهار فإذا هم مظلمون والشمس تجري لمستقر لها ذلك تقدير العزيز العليم والقمر قدرناه منازل حتى عاد كالعرجون القديم لا الشمس ينبغي لها أن تدرك القمر ولا الليل سابق النهار وكل في فلك يسبحون وآية لهم أنا حملنا ذريتهم في الفلك المشحون وخلقنا لهم من مثله ما يركبون وإن نشاء نغرقهم فلا صريخ لهم ولا هم ينقذون إلا رحمة منا ومتاعا إلى حين وإذا قيل لهم اتقوا ما بين أيديكم وما خلفكم لعلكم ترحمون وما تأتيهم من آية من آيات ربهم إلا كانوا عنها معرضين وإذا قيل لهم أنفقوا مما رزقكم الله قال الذين كفروا للذين آمنوا ونطعم من لو يشاء الله أطعمه إن أنتم إلا في ضلال مبين ويقولون متى هذا الوعد إن كنتم صادقين ما ينظرون إلا صيحة واحدة تأخذهم وهم يخصمون فلا يستطيعون توصية ولا إلى أهلهم يرجعون ونفخ في السور فإذا هم من الأجداث إلى ربهم ينسلون قالوا يا ويلنا من بعثنا من مرقدنا هذا ما وعد الرحمن وصدق المرسلون إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم جميع لدينا محضرون فاليوم لا تظلم نفس شيئا ولا تجزون إلا ما كنتم تعملون إن أصحاب الجنة اليوم في شغل فاكهون هم وأزواجهم في ظلال على الأرائك متكئون لهم فيها فاكهة ولهم ما يدعون سلام قولا من رب رحيم وامتازوا اليوم أيها المجرمون ألم أعهد إليكم يا بني آدم أن لا تعبدوا الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين وأن اعبدوني هذا صراط مستقيم ولقد أزلنا منكم جبلا كثيرا أفلم تكونوا تعقلون هذه جهنم التي كنتم توعدون اصلوها اليوم بما كنتم تكفرون اليوم نختم على أفواههم وتكلمنا أيديهم وتشهد أرجلهم بما كانوا يكسبون ولو نشاء لطمسنا على أعينهم فاستبقوا الصراط فأنى يبصرون ولو نشاء لمسخناهم على مكانتهم فما استطاعوا مزيا ولا يرجعون ومن نعمره ننكسه في الخلق أفلا يعقلون وما علمناه الشعر وما ينبغي له إن هو إلا ذكر وقرآن مبين لينذر من كان حيا ويحق القول على الكافرين أولم يروا أنا خلقنا لهم مما عملت أيدينا أنعاما فهم لها مالكون وذللناها لهم فمنها ركوبهم ومنها يأكلون ولهم فيها منافع ومشارب أفلا يشكرون واتخذوا من دون الله آلهة لعلهم ينصرون لا يستطيعون نصرهم وهم لهم جند محضرون فلا يحزنك قولهم إنا نعلم ما يسرون وما يعلنون أولم ير الإنسان أنا خلقناه من نطفة فإذا هو خصيم مبين وضرب لنا مثلا ونسي خلقا قال من يحيي العظام وهي رميم قل يحييها الذي أنشاها أول مرة وهو بكل خلق عليم الذي جعل لكم من الشجر الأخضر نارا فإذا أنتم منه توقدون أوليس الذي خلق السماوات والأرض بقادر على أن يخلق مثلهم بلى وهو الخلاق العليم إنما أمره إذا أراد شيئا أن يقول له كن فيكون وسبحان الذي بيده ملكوت كل شيء وإليه ترجعون آمنا بالله صدق الله العلي العظيم اللهم صل على محمد الفاتحة بسم الله بار دیگر صلوات
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
एक दफा और दुरूद पढ़ते
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
हर साल जो जिक्रे शुहदा करते हर साल जो जिक्रे शुहदा करते एक फर्ज है हम पर जो अदा करते एक फर्ज है हम पर जो अदा करते ज़हरा से जो वादा था नबी का ज़हरा से जो वादा था, नबी का उस वादे को हम लोग वफा करते हैं। हर साल जो जिक्रे दुरूद पढ़ते हैं। यूं रफीकों को लिए सीखते पैगंबर निकले, यूं रफीकों को लिए सीखते पैगंबर सितारों की जिलों में महे अनवर निकले, यूं रफीकों को लिए सीखते पैगंबर निकले। नुसरत सिर्फ बहत्तर निकले, नुसरत दी के लिए सिर्फ बहत्तर निकले। कभी कासिम कभी अकबर कभी असगर निकले, यूं रफीकों को लिए सीखते पैगंबर निकले। करबला वाले कयामत के शनावर निकले, करबला वाले कयामत के शनावर निकले। डूब कर अपने लहू में लबे कौसर निकले, यूं रफीकों को लिए सीखते पैगंबर निकले। यूं लड़ियानो मोहम्मद के हैं तारीख गवाह, यूं लड़ियानो मोहम्मद के तारीख गवाह। तिफल इस घर के जवानों के बराबर निकले, यूं रफीकों को लिए सीखते पैगंबर निकले। अश्किया छोड़ के दरिया की तरह फैज में खेमे से जो मसानी निकले यूं रफीकों को लिए सेते पैगंबर
निकले
हाय बाजार में यूं ज़ैनबे
निकले
वारिसे चादर तत्हीर खुले सर निकले यूं रफीकों को लिए से पैगंबर
निकले
याद आई जो सकीना तो बहुत रोए कैद खाने से रिहा हो के जो बाहर निकले यूं रफीकों को लिए से पैगंबर मत्ता पेश कर रहा हूं यही काम आएंगे महशर में तेरे
सारे
यही काम आएंगे महशर में तेरे
सारे
गम शबीर में आंखों से वो गौहर निकले यूं रफीकों को लिए सिरते पैगंबर
निकले
जैसे तारों की जिलों में महे अनवर निकले यूं रफीकों को लिए सेते दुरूद पढ़
सल्ले अला मुहम्मद व आले मुहम्मद
सूरत फातिहा बिस्मिल्लाह मसीह के चंद शेर शैन जब चांद मुहर्रम का सफर में देखा शैन जब चांद मुहर्रम का सफर में देखा मैं जरे कत्ल रकम एक सतर में देखा बल जबी ने फलके जुल्म सहर में देखा मौत को लूट मचाते हुए घर में देखा मौत को लूट मचाते हुए घर में देखा सुर्खिए खूने शफक कल्ब को बरमाने लगी शामे आशूर की तस्वीर नजर आने लगी शामे आशूर की तस्वीर नजर आने लगी कत्ल हो जब मेरा लश्कर न चला लाए मुझे सब अजीजों के कटे सर न जला लाए मुझे खून में लोटे अली अकबर न जला लाए मुझे तड़पे हाथों पे जो असगर न जला लाए मुझे तड़पे हाथों पे जो असगर न जला लाए मुझे फूल मुरझाए मेरा शुक्र बजा मैं आप नन्ही सी लहद खोद के दफनाऊं मैं आप नन्ही सी लहद को के दफनाऊं मैं निकले अरमा जो ज़बां प्यास से बाहर निकले हाय मर जाऊंगी क्यों अपनी कज़ा मांगते हो थाम लो दिल जो बहन घर से निकले थाम लो दिल जो बहन घर से तड़प कर निकले जो सताए न डराऊं न सजा दूं को दाग पर दाग वो दे और न दुआ दूं उनको दाग पर दाग वो दे और मैं दुआ दूं उनको रो के चिल्लाई बहन दर्द बला मांगते हो हाय मर जाऊंगी क्यों अपनी कज़ा मांगते हो देख कर चांद ये अल्लाह से क्या मांगते हो क्यों नहीं ब्याह की अकबर की दुआ मांगते हो क्यों नहीं ब्याह की अकबर की दुआ मांगते हो पूरी होते हुए बानों की तमन्ना देखूं या खुदा मैं जमालाल का सेहरा देखूं या खुदा अब मैं जमालाल का सेहरा देखूं बोले शबीर बहन वादा वफा ये है जरूर दे चुका हूँ मैं जुबा अहमद मुरसल पत न था तुम में कुछ याद भी है रंजू अम्मा जा कर चुकी है मेरी शहादत मंजूर अम्मा जा कर चुकी है मेरी शहादत मंजूर कौल से फिरते हैं कब आशिक पारी ज़ैना ये मेरे ज़ज्र पे है खुद तुम्हारी ज़ैना मेरे मंज़र पे है खुद मोहर तुम्हारी ज़ैना मेरे मंज़र पे है खुद मोहर तुम्हारी ज़ैना शैन जब चाँद तमाशी दो
Before I invite Maulana, may I request you all to please move a little forward as much as possible, please. बराए मेहरबानी आगे आगे तशरीफ लाइए। आप जानते हैं पूरी जगह खाली है यहाँ पर, प्लीज़ आगे आगे आ जाइए। ताकि बाद में आने वालों को मज़ीद कोई दुश्वारी ना पेश आए। इसका एको बंद कर दीजिएगा प्लीज़। मोहम्मद वाले मोहम्मद बाज़ बुलंद सलवात। Inshallah, the program at Al-Noor will continue till 12th of Muharram, and all these majalis will be recited by Maulana Hamza Hussaini, who has kindly accepted our offer to recite these majalises. The program starts at 8 o'clock and starts with Surah Yasin with short Marsiya, and then Maulana takes the member at around 8:30. You are all requested to please be on time to benefit from all these majalises. Request for Surah Fatiha for the sponsor of tonight's majlis, Sayyid Abidi family and Mirza Hassan Ali Beg's family, and also include your marhumin, especially marhum of Abidi Bhai, Sayyid Kazim Abidi, Sayyida Shahnaz Abidi, Mirza Askar Ali Beg, Mirza Riyaz Ali Beg, Mirza Asghar Ali Beg, Sayyid Iftikhar Hussain Abidi, मेरे मरहूम वालिदैन और आपके तमाम मरहूमीन के लिए सूरतुल मुबारक अल फातिहा।
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد قبل الله. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين، ثم الصلاة والسلام على سيد الأشرف الأنبياء حبيب وحبيبنا العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد. صلى الله على أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين والمعصومين، واللعن الدائم على أعدائهم أجمعين. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله، وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليكم مني جميعا سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعله الله آخر لحد مني لزيارتكم. Hands on hearts please. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. السلام عليكم جميعا شهداء كربلاء. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقاعدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه عرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. First of all, I would once again like to give my condolences to the Imam of the time and all mu'mineen, maraji'een, ulama, urafa around the world. And we would like to ask for the permission and the intercession so that this small ibadat of ours may be accepted in the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through the intercession of the Imam of the time, and especially through the Holy Lady Hazrat Fatimatul Zahra salamullah alayha. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept all of our ibadat, inshallah. So just a quick recap of what we had in our majalis yesterday for those of the mu'mineen who weren't here. We mentioned that these 10 days automatically bring sorrow in the hearts of mu'mineen. Automatically bring sorrow into the hearts of those who have a pure fitrah. And it is through that huzn, that intercession of the Imam of the time, that we are all allowed and have these feelings throughout our hearts. For if the Imam wasn't sad, then none of the mu'mineen would be sad. None of those pure souls would be sad throughout this world in these 10 days of Muharram. And because of his governance and his wilayah throughout this world, it has a physical, an emotional, and a spiritual effect on every human being. The third thing which we mentioned was that these 10 days bring rizq. For we mentioned that rizq isn't only an income, isn't only money, but the 10 rizq which we attain during these 10 days of Muharram, I'll just quickly go through them so then we can go on to the next topic, inshallah, was crying for Aba Abdullah, becoming a zayar of Aba Abdullah alayhi salam. Yani doing the ziyarah of Imam Hussain alayhi salam and his shrine, whether that be in Karbala or from this Imam Bargah or this masajid that we have our majalis. The third was Tawalla and Tabarra. These are one of the rizqs of these 10 days of Muharram. Being with the cause of Aba Abdullah. What was the cause of Aba Abdullah? When we enter these majalis, we are part of that cause. Being with the Imam of the time and wanting a vengeance for the blood of the killers of Aba Abdullah. Whether we like it or not, we're part of this. And that's one of the main rizqs that we attain throughout our hearts whilst attending these majalis. Lastly, I mentioned, hopefully we can all act upon it, was that inshallah throughout these 10 days, we give a small amount of sadaqah in the name of the Imam of the time, for it is very difficult for the Imam during these 10 days. Please recite a salawat. These days of Muharram, these 10 days especially, will pass by really quickly within a blink of an eye. Time is always of an essence. As we know, even throughout these Western countries, time flies past faster than those which are in Eastern countries, right? Because we have longer days there. Even if we do tend to have longer days here, our jobs finish late. So time is always of the essence. So in today's topic, I would like to speak from our ahadith and how we can attain those blessings throughout this short period of time and become closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For one of the qualities of a mu'min is to make an opportunity from the time that he has. Please recite salawat. But even if we try to make an opportunity, there's always problems that occur. There's always difficulties in the way. A great shaheed, he says, a really famous shaheed, I won't mention his name, he says that the opportunities which a person has in his difficulties, and he makes time out of those difficult opportunities, or whilst he's in that difficulty, he has in his free time, those are the real times that a person can attain a blessing. Let me elaborate a bit about that. That if someone is in a difficulty, right? These difficulties at times can become another person's blessing. Like, for example, as they say within the UK, that it's quite similar, that one person's trash is another person's gold, right? For example, the rain from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is bestowed upon us, for some people, that rain is a blessing. Whereas for some people, that rain can become an azab. And if that rain becomes an azab, some people can benefit from that azab, which is for another person. I hope I'm not mixing up your minds a bit. But if this rain appears in some places, it can grow crops for them, right? But if that rain is to turn into a flood, it can kill people. Exactly like that, the Holy Quran, in the Holy Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَنُنَزِّلَ لِلْقُرْآنِ وَمَا شَفَاعَةٌ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ. This Holy Quran is a ni'mat for mu'mineen. This Holy Quran is Noor. This Holy Quran is Rahmah. This Holy Quran is Shafa'ah. It's for advancing. But this is for who? It's for mu'mineen. Whereas we look at the other side, we see what the Holy Quran says, وَلَا يَزِيدُ عِلَى ظَالِمِينَ خِسَارًا. Meaning that this same Quran for zalimeen or those non-believers is what? It's a disadvantage. In reality, we make a ni'mah or a blessing into a blessing ourselves. Or we make a calamity into a difficulty. It is our own actions that make this ni'mah into a barakah or into an opportunity. Or a calamity which we don't benefit from at all. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَإِن كَفَرْتُمْ وَإِلَىٰ عَذَابٍ شَدِيدٍ. That if we do kufr of ni'mah, like we say in our own language, right? We say, by kufr ni'mat kardi. Yani this person is not making good use of this blessing that he has from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We mostly, for example, when we're in our youthhood, this is an example which we can relate to the West, right? Thank you. That when a person is young, he'll be like, let me do all the guna, all the sins in the world. And when I've gotten a bit older, I'll go and do Hajj, I'll go and do Ziyarat, I'll get all my sins forgiven. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will eventually forgive me. I'm not trying to point this hadith out to any of the elders. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept all of your a'mal. But according to some of the ahadith, it says that when a person passes the age of 40, right, his dua and his a'mal are slowly less accepted in the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But alhamdulillah, our elders, they do their amal twice as much, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will automatically bless them. But I'm just referring this for when our youth say that oh, let's do guna for this so and so years, and when we get old, we'll get white hairs on our head, then we'll go and get them forgiven. For Allah's Rahman Rahim. Or another thing, at times we see that something which I wished for, it's not accepted, or that hajat, it's not accepted from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now I know the first part was a bit complex, right? So I thought I'd elaborate on that and give you more examples, so inshallah you don't look so confused. Please recite aloud salawat if you're not confused. If we are to really understand this hajat of why it's not accepted from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we look at it from Allah's point of view, I mean, we can never see anything from Allah's point of view, first of all, but I'm just saying as an imaginary situation, that why this hajat is not accepted from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, why this dua of ours, or why this wish of ours is not accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We would realize that there is a hikmah in that. The reality that from the point of view that we're seeing it as if though that it's beneficial for us. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows better than us, right? He knows why He is not accepting that hajat of yours. Like, let me give you one example, right? I mean, don't hate me for this, but this is one example that I was thinking about a few days ago. So I've been away from my children for about 4 or 5 months. I was on duty in Newport for some time. And I applied for my visa to go back to Iran, and I wanted to go and meet my children. And then Brother Abid called me during that time, and I said to him that I'll be going back for ziyarat, and inshallah I'll be back in 2 weeks and before Muharram. Now, I had that hajat, my visa will come. That wish inside me was saying to me that Allah accept my visa so I can go and visit my kids, right? And then probably just like, say to these lot, adios, that I'm not coming for Muharram. This is the reality, okay? Because when a person goes to the Holy Lands, right, he doesn't want to come back. He gets that attachment. And on top of that, my family was there as well. But my wish was in a different way. And how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had planned it was in a different way. Because He wanted me to serve this Muharram and do the khidmah of these mu'mineen during these days. And He wanted me to do that khidmah of Imam Hussaini alayhi salam for these 10 days. So the ayah of the Quran continues, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, He says, وَقَلِيلٌ عِبَادِ الشَّكُورِ. There is a minority of those who thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's a really nice brother, and comes up to me and he's like, Maulana, I have everything. I have a beautiful house. I have a beautiful car. I have a great income. I have beautiful children, mashallah, a wife who does khidmah of me, an excellent job as well. But one thing that really kills me on the inside, right? And I really hate this, that my brother-in-law, he has a better payroll than me. He gets paid more than me. It's like, bro, calm down, man. I mean, I have a brother-in-law I've been fighting since, like, we have arguments since we were children, right? I mean, I used to snatch his toys off him and stuff. And then whilst we grew up, we still had those arguments. But we make up with each other, alhamdulillah. But I never envied him. Never envy anyone. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says. Why? When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sees that our capacity and our shukr is less in this world, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us accordingly. so that our test on the day of judgment saves us from the hellfire. Like, suppose if one of us was to become a billionaire, right? I don't know about you guys, but I know about myself. I would definitely not have as much attachment to the ma'sumin as I do now, right? As you guys have all heard the story that there's a friend, a companion of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. He says that, "Oh Imam, I'm really poor. I need your help. Pray for me. I want to get rich." So the Imam replies to him and he says that, "You're not poor. I mean, this guy is living in poverty." So the Imam says to him, "You're not poor." And he says that, "Would you give everything in your life for the love of the Ahlul Bayt?" He says, "Yes, my Mawla. Wa ummi wa abi fidak. May my mother and father be sacrificed for you, my Mawla, my master." He says, "See, there's your answer." So being rich is not always about money. But the reality of being rich is how much closeness that person has to who? The Ahlul Bayt and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But when we have the capacity and are thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us more. But imagine this, that if we're in difficulties and then we're to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say then? I want to keep that for the last moment so I can describe it, right? What does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say when we're in difficulties and we give everything in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And then we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we need your help. Without you, we have no one. So this is the beautiful part. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that you remembered me whilst you was in difficulties. I, Allah, will put all the armies of the skies and the earth under your command. وَلِلَّهِ جُنُودُ السَّمَاوَاتِ. I will order everything under your service. Let me give you a beautiful example from the Holy Quran. So I thought I'd muddle up your minds for about 15 minutes, right? So now I'll just explain it with 15 minutes of examples so you can enjoy it with these small little stories, inshallah. So you guys might have heard this story or actually read it in the Holy Quran or even watched the serial which was of Hazrat Yusuf alayhi salam, right? I don't know, it was in Farsi, but it had been translated in a few languages. So the part I want to mention is when the Holy Quran, it writes this story in a beautiful way. When Zulaykha locks Hazrat Yusuf behind 7 doors. And the ayah of the Quran, it says, وَقَلَقَتِ الْأَبْوَابِ. Now when the word abwab comes, it means more than 3 doors. And then she says, وَقَالَتْ حَيْتَ لَكَ. She said to Hazrat Yusuf, I'm ready to do gunah. Now Hazrat Yusuf had seen this was a difficult situation, right? He was about to fall into calamity. So Hazrat Yusuf, what does he do? He starts running. He starts running towards these doors which the Quran has mentioned are locked. So when the Quran mentions something is locked, yani Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying it's locked. It's definitely locked, right? There's no shak or any doubt in that at all. And then the ayah of the Quran mentions, it doesn't mention how the doors were unlocked, but then the ayah of the Quran mentions that Hazrat Yusuf and Zulaykha, all of a sudden they reach where? In front of the chief of army of Misr, of Egypt. Now, who was it that opened these doors in this difficult situation? This is the message of the Holy Quran. These locks, these doors, these small difficulties that are within this small universe, in opposition to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, these difficulties are nothing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, ask from me and I will provide for you. There will be no difficulties for you. If I can't open these 3 or 4 doors, then I'm not your Allah. Yani, if I can't help you in these small little worldly difficulties, then I'm not your Allah. This is the message that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving in this beautiful story of Hazrat Yusuf. Have certainty there's a Lord who is watching upon you. That wherever you are in any difficulty at all, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will help you throughout that difficulty. Whether that be in anywhere in the world, Makkah, Medina, London, Najaf, or Karbala. Now we're probably thinking that Maulana said that Allah will help anyone in difficulties. The Imam was in difficulties in the lands of Karbala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says what? وَلِلَّهِ جُنُودُ السَّمَاوَاتِ. That He will send the armies of the skies and the earth to help that mu'min who asks from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in difficulties. There was an Ayatollah Noor Isfahani. I don't know if you've heard about his stories, but Ayatollah Noor Isfahani was a great marja, and he used to give advice to so many mujtahideen of this time today. All mujtahideen that have passed from this world, Ayatollah Isfahani would advise them. He would be a darsi akhlaq teacher, a teacher of akhlaq. So a farmer came to him and he says that, please help me that every single year there is an army of locusts. Now I don't mean army like locusts, half human beings, but for the kids I'll mention it, right? Locusts are, you could say, the bigger version of a grasshopper. And they fly and they have wings. I don't know if you guys have watched the cartoon Ants, right? You can find out from that cartoon. Or was that like back in our age? So locusts, once they fly in an army of thousands and thousands, right? And whichever crop they go and eat the crops, and that person can't grow crops in his farm for a year or 2. So this farmer, he comes up to Ayatollah Noor Isfahani and he says that, please help me. I have these locusts that are flying towards my direction, because they would find out from the next farm so and so, and then they'd reach in that location after 3 days. He was from Mashhad, by the way. So he goes to Ayatollah and he says, please help me. Give me some kind of dua, some kind of amal that I can save my crops of wheat, and inshallah I can do a better business. I mean, we all like a little bit of good business, right? So Ayatollah Noor Isfahani, he asks him, he says that these locusts are coming to your farm and they're eating your wheat and your crops. Why? Because you're not giving the haqq of the fuqara. You're not giving the haqq of those who are in need. You're not giving your sadaqah. So he says, I promise I will give sadaqah, anything to save my food supply or my business, you know. So Ayatollah Isfahani says to him, he says that if you promise, then go back and inshallah, they won't come this time. So he gives him a small piece of paper and he says, take this with you and put it in the field. And inshallah, have tawakkul towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the locusts won't eat your field. So he's waiting, and after 2 or 3 days, these locusts appear. I don't know if you guys have seen it, they're usually in eastern countries. And when they fly over, half of the sky turns black. The sound of it is scary, especially if you've gone from the west like we did, right? Looking at like these small insects flying in the sky. It's like the azab or the wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has come. So they come flying, and I mean, I don't know how many miles per hour they came, right? But they go flying straight into the field. When they go straight into the field, this guy is like, I don't know if you could say in our own language, like, "Hay me mar gaya." You know, my crops are gone, they're dead today. I mean, we shouldn't be laughing or joking, but alhamdulillah, at least until you guys can understand this example much more easily. So the attack is failed. It's like, that's it, I'm gone. Out of business. Bankruptcy. Right? So after a while, he goes and he sees that they're slowly, they're all flying away. And when he looks closely, he sees that instead of eating his corn or his wheat within his field, they're eating the crops or the weeds that actually kill the crops. So alhamdulillah, these locusts, what they done in reality, they became a natural fertilizer. I mean, he didn't even have to pay for the fertilizer. Got it free of charge. Imagine getting freebies, man, nowadays. So after he sees this, he says, Alhamdulillah. وَلِلَّهِ جُنُودُ السَّمَاوَاتِ. The locust is also under the command of some kind of being. We have to have yaqeen in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All the armies of the skies and the earth are under the commandment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Just repeat this ayah with me one time if you can. وَلِلَّهِ جُنُودُ السَّمَاوَاتِ. وَلِلَّهِ جُنُودُ السَّمَاوَاتِ. Hopefully, inshallah, if you guys can remember this ayah, and whenever you're in a difficult situation, right, you can pray for me. If it works, hopefully, right? Now, changing a difficult situation into an opportunity via the ibadah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as Abu Abdullah did in the lands of Karbala. When Yazid came into power, what did Abu Abdullah say? He said, Ala al-Islamu was-salam. Meaning the Fatiha of Islam has been read if Yazid comes into power. And he says, a person like me can never accept Yazid. He didn't say to himself that, oh, I have a small army, right, of 72 people. I mean, I can't defeat Yazid. There's got over 40,000 people. But in reality, he made his strategies of that 72 army exactly how a person would make of 40,000 men. He made his chief and commander. And he had tawakkul in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But the important thing is becoming an abd of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When he thanked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even though he knew that he was in a difficult situation, even though he knew that he was going to become shaheed the next day. Whereas we don't thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even though we have everything on a plate. I mean, you can't get it easier than London or the US, right? And we're still complaining. Look at what the last words of Imam Hussain alayhi salam in the battlefield of Karbala. He says, Asni Allah ahsana hasana wa ahmadahu al-sarahi wa zarih al-sarahi wa zarahi. Oh Allah, I thank you even if there is no happiness. When Abu Abdullah had reached the closest state which any ma'soom could towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it wasn't when he was in his comfort zone. It was at his difficult stages, in his last moments on the battlefield. When he was about to become shaheed, he didn't have a sip of water for 72 hours. I mean, I don't want to read the Masai, but just this last part, and inshallah we'll go into the Masai. So when he becomes shaheed, he didn't have a sip of water for what? 72 hours, and still he's thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even though he's seen all that zulm, he's seen all of his family members become shaheed. But what? He's thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Abu Abdullah, according to the narrations, his last moments before he was about to become shaheed, in narrations it says that he done so much zikr and thankfulness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that his face was glowing like the moon. وَلِلَّهِ جُنُودُ السَّمَاوَاتِ. These are our role models. This is what Muharram teaches us. How we can turn a calamity into a blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Abu Abdullah in the lands of Karbala isn't just for the 61st century or Hijri. Not something that we just cry about and we go home. But is a lesson for every moment of our life. Even from the stage when a mu'min is in the womb of his mother, our lifestyle after coming into this world is based on the foundations of Karbala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us all true followers of Abu Abdullah and this Muharram. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless all those mu'mineen and mu'minat around the world who are in difficulties and can't attend these majalis of Abu Abdullah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bihaqqi shuhada'i Karbala accept all our a'mal and bless everyone in this world and those who have passed away. Bihaqqi Fatimatu Zahra, make us true soldiers of the Imam of the time. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. Everybody repeat it. Assalamu alayka ya Aba. Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. May Allah's peace and blessings be upon you, my beloved Holy Prophet and the Ahlul Bayt. May Allah's peace and blessings be upon you, It was in your homes that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed us with guidance and revelations. May Allah's peace and blessings be upon you. Angels descended upon day in and day out. May Allah's peace and blessings be upon you. O Abba Abdullah. May Allah's peace and blessings be upon you, O oppressed one. May Allah's peace and blessings be upon you, the Imam that was slaughtered at Nahr Furat, whilst his mouth was dry of thirst. May Allah's peace and blessings be upon you, Ya Aba Abdullah. For if it wasn't for you, where would I divert my grief and sorrow? For if it wasn't for you, where would I learn the true meaning of love? If it wasn't for you, what would I have done without Karbala? Your name is a cure upon my lips, Ya Hussain. Tonight we are to remember the first of the Shuhada of Karbala. His Shahada occurred before the coming of the Ahlul Bayt to Karbala. We want to remember Muslim ibn Aqil, the lonely soldier of the Imam in Kufa. There was days that Muslim had 18,000 people come pledge allegiance to him. We will support our Imam, but eventually on the last night, when Muslim was leading the prayers, people started leaving one by one. Muslim looks behind him after both prayers are done. Only a few, they walk in the streets of Kufa, trying to call support, but even those who are with him vanish away one by one. Muslim ends up outside the door of a pious lady, all lonely, perhaps remembering the loneliness of Amir al-Mu'mineen, the loneliness of Imam al-Mujtaba in Kufa. He is sitting out there with nowhere to go. The lady comes out, she asks, "Oh man, have you no home? These are the late hours of the night. You need to go home, it's dangerous." Muslim says, "What home, oh lady? I'm not from Kufa, I'm here from Medina." She asks, who are you, man? He replies, I'm the messenger and the representative of the son of the Prophet, Hussain ibn Ali. She's a believer, she asks him to come home. Muslim finds a temporary home that night. He goes, he worships, he reads the Quran, the last night of his life. You've heard the story. Her son comes home, the reward of Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad have blinded his eyes. He hears the Quran of a man in the house. He asks, who is it? He comes to know it's Muslim. The news gets to Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad. They come to arrest him. There's a battle. Muslim is from Banu Hashim, from the warriors of Banu Hashim. He puts up a good fight, but he's outnumbered eventually with a bloody face. They take him to Dar al-Imara. May Allah bless your soul, O Muslim. You stood and represented your Imam, Abu Abdullah. They brought him water, it seems the Shahada of Karbala, to become Shaheed with thirsty mouths. He puts the water to his lips. The water gets blood in it. He's not able to drink the water a couple of times. He realizes maybe he's supposed to resemble his master in that way. They take Muslim to the top of Darul Imara. Muslim is looking at the horizon towards the direction of the Qibla. That's where Hussain is moving towards Kufa. He's probably in his heart saying, oh Hussain, don't come to Kufa. These people have betrayed you, oh Hussain, don't come to Kufa. They're sharpening their swords for you, Ya Hussain, don't come to Kufa. Harmala is preparing his arrows for Ali Asghar. Hussain, don't come to Kufa. Shimr is sharpening his dagger. Allah's curse be upon the wrongdoers. May Allah bless you, but Muslim martyrdom is a tradition in the Ahlul Bayt. Muslim is probably thinking, what will happen to the Imam? Forgive me, Muslim, but let me tell you what happened to Abu Abdullah. Let us take our minds to the lands of Karbala. Abu Abdullah is left alone in the battlefields. He is attacked from all four sides. Whoever has a sword is striking the Imam with his swords. Whoever has spears is attacking the Imam with his spears. Whoever has a stick is hitting the Imam with a stick. And whoever has no weapons is hitting the Imam with their hands and feet. According to the narration, the Imam had 360 injuries, and there was no place on his body which was spare. There was no place on his body which wasn't injured. Sallallahu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. على لعنة الله على قوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين أين ينقلبون ماتم حسين.
ऊंचा रहे अपना लम, ऊंचा रहे अपना लम, ऊंचा रहे अपना अलम, ऊंचा रहे अपना अलम, ऊंचा रहे अपना अलम, ऊंचा रहे अपना अलम। जब तक है दौरे आसमां, जब तक है दौरे आसमां, सुन ले ये हर पीरो जवां, सुन ले ये हर पीरो जवां। आवाज पर शबीर की बढ़ता रहे ये कारवां, रुकने ना पाए ये कदम, ऊंचा रहे अपना अलम, ऊंचा रहे अपना अलम। हर क़ल्ब पर छाते चलो, हर क़ल्ब पर छाते चलो, दुनिया को बतलाते चलो, दुनिया को बतलाते चलो। एक एक मुहाज़े जुल्म की तस्वीर दिखलाते चलो, हर दिल में भर दो शय का गम, ऊंचा रहे अपना अलम, ऊंचा रहे अपना अलम। कब तक ना मानेगा कोई, कब तक ना मानेगा कोई, वो वक्त आएगा कभी, वो वक्त आएगा कभी। हर क़ल्ब पर छा जाएगा अपना हुसैन इब्ने अली, इस दर पे हर सर होगा खम, ऊंचा रहे अपना अलम, ऊंचा रहे अपना अलम। जब भी कोई मुश्किल पड़ी, जब भी कोई मुश्किल पड़ी, दुनिया इसी दर पर झुकी, दुनिया इसी दर पर झुकी। सीनों से बल खा कर उधर उठी सदाए या अली, निकला उधर बातिल का दम, ऊंचा रहे अपना अलम, ऊंचा रहे अपना अलम। अब्बास है नामे वफा, अब्बास है नामे वफा, आगाज़ो अंजामे वफा, आगाज़ो अंजामे वफा। मुंह मोड़ के दरिया से जो पीता रहा जामे वफा, होते रहे बाजू कलम, ऊंचा रहे अपना अलम, ऊंचा रहे अपना अलम। जिंदा है हल मिल की सदा जिंदा है हर मिन की सदा मिटता नहीं खून का लिखा मिटता नहीं खून का लिखा शबीर के हक की कसम एक मौजज़ा है करबला ये सिलसिला ना होगा कम ऊंचा रहे अपना अलम ऊंचा रहे अपना अलम ये परचम अब्बास है ये परचम अब्बास है टूटे दिलों की आस है टूटे दिलों की आस है अब तक किसी परचम तले जिंदा किसी की प्यास है जिसने सहे लाखों सितम ऊंचा रहे अपना अलम ऊंचा रहे अपना अलम ऊंचा रहे अपना अलम या हुसैन या हुसैन या हुसैन या हुसैन जाने वाले करबला के करबला ले चल मुझे जाने वाले करबला के करबला ले चल मुझे जाने वाले करबला के करबला ले जाने वाले करबला के करबला ले चल मुझे जाने वाले करबला के करबला ले चल मुझे रोज़ाए शबीर पर दूंगा दुआ ले चल मुझे जाने वाले करबला के करबला ले चल मुझे जाने वाले करबला के करबला ले चल मुझे है जहाँ गंजे शहीदा है जहाँ नहरे फुरात है जहाँ गंजे शहीदा है जहाँ नहरे फुरात जिस जगह सैयद मेरा प्यासा रहा ले चल मुझे जाने वाले करबला के करबला ले चल मुझे जाने वाले करबला के करबला ले चल मुझे जिस जगह पास के बाजू कलम हो कर गिरे जिस जगह आबास के बाजू कलम हो कर गिरे उस जगह मैं भी करूँ मातम जरा ले चल मुझे जाने वाले करबला के करबला ले चल मुझे जाने वाले करबला के करबला ले चल मुझे इस कदर नादार हूँ ते सफर कुछ भी नहीं इस कदर नादार हूँ ते सफर कुछ भी नहीं दोष पर अपनी बिठा कर ए हवाले चल मुझे जाने वाले करबला के करबला ले चल मुझे जाने वाले करबला के करबला ले चल मुझे दिल उलझ कर आ गया बरछी में अकबर का जहां दिल उलझ कर आ गया बरछी में अकबर का जहां दिल वहाँ मैं भी करूँ अपना फिदा ले चल मुझे जाने वाले करबला के करबला ले चल मुझे जाने वाले करबला के करबला ले जल गए शामे गरीबा मैं जहाँ खैमे तमाम जल गए शामे गरीबा मैं जहाँ खैमे तमाम जिस जगह नन्हा सा एक झूला जला ले चल मुझे जाने वाले करबला ले चल मुझे जाने वाले करबला ले चल मुझे। हाय वो मकतल जहाँ बाली सकीना रात में, हाय वो मकतल जहाँ बाली सकीना रात में, ढूंढती फिरती थी सीना बाप काले चल मुझे जाने वाले करबला ले 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 चल मुझे रोज़ाए शबीर पर दूंगा दुआ ले चल मुझे जाने वाले करबला ले चल मुझे जाने वाले करबला ले चल मुझे। Hussain. Ya Imam.
السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله، السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله، السلام عليك يا ابن أمير المؤمنين ابن السيد الوصيين، السلام عليك ابن فاطمة الزهراء سيدة النساء العالمين، السلام على الحسين وعلى علي ابن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين وخصوصا سيدي مولاي أبو الفضل العباس ابن أمير المؤمنين. السلام عليك يا قريب القرباء، السلام عليك يا معين ضفاء البقرة، السلام عليك يا شمس الشموس ونيس النفوس، السلام عليك سلطان أبو الحسن علي بن موسى الرضا، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا شعب رسول الزمان، الأمان من فتنة الزمان. السلام عليك يا شيخ القرآن، السلام عليك يا الإنس والجان. أجل الله تعالى فرجه وسأل الله تعالى مخرجه وظهورك ورحمة الله وبركاته. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي